Hello, welcome to anyone that's prepared to listen to me. I've been away for a while and I haven't really done any videos on any of these subjects for a while, but I'm here, and if you've got any questions, as always, feel free to ask, and as always, I will waffle on until someone asks me a question. So first things that I was going to talk about is, because I'm still doing the videos going back through the Anunnaki, I thought I'd talk about the Anunnaki unless you've got any other questions. So, if you've watched my other videos, I show that, thank you for the hearts, I show that, in tablet, I think it's tablet 10, that the Anunnaki wrote, I think there's 13 in total. So these are ancient Sumerian tablets that are done in cuneiform writing, and the pyramids were mentioned in there. They don't call them pyramids. There's another name for them. I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head, but basically, after the flood, yes, I know people say that the pyramids or the Sphinx was built pre-flood, but after the flood, they needed a new site because the flood had literally covered over all the areas that they had, even in the Abzu, which is South Africa, with the mine in place. So they had they needed a new landing port, etc. So I can't remember the exact person's name now. One of the Anunnakis come up with the idea of building this beacon, which was the three pyramids, and the Great Pyramid had these crystals inside it, which being placed on the ley lines, blah blah blah, would generate a huge beam from the top of the, thank you for the roses, a huge beam from the top of the Great Pyramid. Now, believe it or not, the Great Pyramid capstone was not gold, because it doesn't say it was gold. There's a couple of other elements to it. Again, off the top of my head, I can't remember the elements, but it wasn't gold. So the light would shine up during the day and night from the Great Pyramid as a beacon to help the other Anunnakis who's coming down. So someone's asked, do I think the aliens helped build the pyramids? No, the actual fact is the Anunnaki built the pyramids. It's written in ancient. So someone's asked, do I think the aliens helped build the pyramids? No, the actual fact is the Anunnaki built the pyramids. It's written in ancient stone tablets, and built it because she was out for blood. And this is, does it say I'm frozen? I'm just gonna switch off Wi-Fi and go on to, forgive me everybody, I'm just gonna go on to, so it might just I'm just trying to took off Wi-Fi, and hopefully you'll hear me talking. So hopefully you can hear me now. So Murdoch hides in the Great Pyramid. Inanna, the wife of Demusa, who's angry, somehow manages to find out that that's where he's hiding. So her and Ninurta and a few others go to the Great Pyramid. Murdoch starts climbing up, the chambers. Now there's crystals in there, and he's damaging these crystals. These are the crystals that helped create the power to produce the light that comes up. And the others are chasing him, trying to climb through the pyramid, because obviously it wasn't designed to be climbed through like that. It was just designed for the power thing. So I don't know if you guys know, but in the Great Pyramid, there's these blocks that can be dropped down, and they were found, when the Great Pyramid was found, that these blocks had already been dropped down into place, and no one really knew what they were for, and to be honest, we still don't know what they're for. But in the stone tablets, it talks about Murdoch actually deliberately pulling these stones down to stop the other Anunnaki trying to get to him. So finally, he gets to the King's Chamber. He goes all the way to the top. There's a few more levels at the top there, which is where the graffiti was found, the fake graffiti that said it was Khufu's pyramid, which we know it's not, because the stone tablets literally predate that. Anyway, so he's up there. outside, Enki, Enlil, etc., all discuss, and finally they agree that Murdoch should live, but he should be banished and not have any land. So the problem is now, how do you tell Murdoch, who's stuck inside this pyramid? So Ninurta has to go and get one of his flying craft, and they try and shoot the pyramid, but they can't. So they have to dig halfway up the pyramid. So yes, this is why we've got weird chambers that we think we know why they're going off to Orion and things like that. But anyway, so they dug down and they had to bypass the big blocks and blah, blah, blah. And they finally get to Murdoch. They drag him out unconscious because obviously there's no air in there. They revive him, which is, they do this a few times. They talk about reviving people. And they do talk about putting people in shrouds, which is interesting. Dead people in shrouds. So just throwing that out there. But, so anyway, they managed to revive Murdoch, and Enki turns around and says, right, sorry, you're going to live, but you're going to be banished and everything. And Murdoch says, hang on a minute, no, I'd rather be dead. Kill me. That's not right. Anyway, he finally agrees to it. So then Ninurta, the son of Enlil, decides to, because Inanna doesn't like the pyramids now because it reminds her of her dead husband. So Ninurta, wait for it, gets in his ship and blows the top capstone off, which wasn't, as I say, it wasn't pure gold. It was made of different elements, and blows that off so that the beacon now doesn't actually work, but it helps Inanna get over it. So they ended up building another beacon somewhere else in mountains. But there you go. So that's that. Hopefully that you enjoyed that. Right. Okay. I'm just going back to any questions. So sorry that I waffled on. Hi, can we talk about the case of Alacia lambs? I'm or Alacia lamb. I've not heard of that. Sorry, if you give me a little clue, it might be something I know of, but may not know that particular name of it. Let's just scroll down. The moon isn't real. Wake up, sheeple. That's from Skeg. Well, okay, so if you go back to the ancient texts, now bearing in mind, these texts are genuine. I mean, some of them were found, 300-400 years ago. So to fake a whole new language 300 to 400 years ago, to hope that someone can then understand your new fake language that you've totally created, not only understand it, but then publicize it to the world 200-300 years ago, bearing in mind no internet and hardly any newspapers probably. So they're real. So when you look at the tablets and it talks about, Murdoch and Enki at one point going off to the moon and staying up there, and landing on the moon and realizing that there's absolutely nothing there, there's no point, there's no benefit to the moon, and then coming back, you have to say the moon's real, because you've got ancient tablets that's literally saying they went to the moon, stayed on the moon, realized there's nothing there, and then came back. So the moon's got to be real, if you believe in the tablets, and you have to believe in the tablets because no one's in their right mind is going to create a new language. Just to try and fool a few people back then. Now, it's different, but, how is everything connected? That's from H-Team by the looks of it, or H-Team. Everything's connected through, spirits, in my opinion. That's the key, because the Anunnaki knew of spirits. I'm not talking about God now. I could go on to the real God, and the Anunnaki. But if you want me to, I can explain where the Anunnaki actually thought they spoke to the real God. But for now, it's spirits. So spirits have been around for however long, a long time. They inhabit, humans. They inhabited Anunnaki. They inhabit, and when I say inhabit, co-inhabit, or join with, other alien races where we know these from, people that's been past life regressions, hypnotized, etc., where they say they were a praying mantis type being, and they obviously, so that means the praying mantis had a soul for it to then ended up, when I say soul, spirit, to end up being in the person that's now being regressed. So the spirits are the connection. Even Bigfoot's been seen walking with an orb. So I'm guessing that's possibly a dead Bigfoot that they're walking with. So that is the key, I think.
There is an email message.
Someone's Triple X has wrote WTV on YouTube has these stories in video. Yeah, I mean, I'm just relaying my information, my research. It's not like I've created the research. I mean, some of it I've put together that other researchers haven't figured out. There's some things I've mentioned to Linda Moulton Howe, and she's like, wow, that's genius. But then there's a lot of it I've obviously got from other researchers and things like that. Someone Brown has wrote, almost missed you. Triple X has wrote, same people of the Tower of Babel before the flood. No, I don't think the Tower of Babel was before the flood. If you read, again, the stone tablets, because, it doesn't say anything about the Tower of Babel up until tablet 12. And so everything before that, there was no humans, ganging up on anything. So, if the Tower of Babel existed, which I'm not saying it didn't, it would have been after the flood, in my opinion. Really never heard this before of the caps of pyramid. That's from Triple X. If you're interested, look up the Lost Book of Enki. Now, I know people say, well, that's Zachariah Sitchin's, but there's 200 other people that can read the Sumerian tablets, and they pretty much agree with him, other than a few words. He may have got one particular word wrong, like blast, for example, where he talks about blasting something. But, other than that, you got 200 other people, and you can read the tablets yourselves. I hate it when people say, oh, he was a Mason. You could go and read them. He didn't hide them. He didn't, he's not destroyed them deliberately after. You can go and read the tablets. So, if you're interested in finding out all of this kind of stuff from the Anunnaki's point of view, Lost Book of Enki would be the first protocol. Triple X wrote, how do you fake those tablets? I'd love people to explain that. Yeah, you can't really, because there's straight away you got the patina on it, which is shows age. And it's not just tablets. It's carried through on papyrus and other types of paper. So not just from because it ends up in the Dead Sea Scrolls and things like that. So the story of everything, including Gilgamesh and the Book of Enoch, etc. So it's not just Sumerian tablets. So, but some of that has changed from the Sumerian cuneiform, which is their own Anunnaki's own language, original. But over time, it eventually changed, as we know, into Babylonian, Aramaic, and there's another A. I keep forgetting the other A. And then, believe it or not, after that, it splits off into Egyptian, and another language. And this isn't me saying this. This is actually linguistics people that have traced back the languages, and they say it all derives from the Sumerian cuneiform, which makes sense because the Sumerian cuneiform is the first language ever, and it's a fully fledged language. So you can't suddenly say, oh, it's cavemen working out how to do a language. No, it's a fully fledged language carved in stone. Can your shadow move without your permission? I don't know. If you're referring to shadow people, but I wouldn't know the answer to the shadow question. I've never heard that before. That was from OK Hat by the looks of it. How do you come up with spaceships at the Garden of Eden and the story of Adam before religion? So, okay, so there's two Adam and Eves. First ones was in the Abzu, which was Enki creating them, using his sister's womb to produce the babies. Different babies came out. Some couldn't speak. Some had hair. Finally, they because they was mixing with the DNA, they call it essence, but we now know it as DNA. And eventually, they got the first Adam, which was red like the clay. That's their description. Like the clay grounds. And that's the first Adam. And then obviously they produced more. There was different Anunnaki women that was lined up to keep giving birth to these humans because they needed the humans to do the work. And then eventually they realized they need women. But they didn't take the rib from that, to be honest. If you read the actual tablets, the ribs came from, so 200 odd thousand years later, Enki, who was one of the princes, Enki had relationships with one of those humans, obviously offspring, because it's 200,000 years later. In fact, he had relationships with two of the human women who created Adam, Adapa, and Eve. So they had boy and girl. And they were taken to the Garden of Eden, which is not what we think it is. It's not a place where, God's created whatever it was in the Bible. But basically, it was a place that the Anunnaki had created, and it had some of their technology. And obviously, when Enlil was shown the two, Adam and Eve, and the thing that got him, obviously they was trying to hide, they didn't want them to know the knowledge, obviously, of the Anunnaki. So that's really where the Garden of Eden come from. It's hidden knowledge, not a bloody apple. But what annoyed Enlil was the fact that these humans had loincloths type things over their genitals. And that really annoyed him because that means humans were self-aware of what's going on as opposed to other animals and the Neanderthals, etc. So, but anyway, he eventually got over that. And yes, the Garden of Eden was before religion. That's correct. That was plus how they made Adam and mixed with Anunnaki, and then the rib. So the rib part came when the first Adam, or the second Adam, the proper Adam, was born. See, the Bible gets it slightly wrong. So we've got Adam and Eve, but when they took to Eden, I'm just trying to remember it correctly, Enki put Adam to sleep they were in a room. Everyone had left. I'm just going by the trying to remember the tablets. And he took the stem cells or whatever from Adam's rib because he realized that, if you've only got, because the new Adam and Eve could talk, this is their words, not mine, they were civilized, and they could be taught. So he knew that he didn't want to have to go through Adam and Eve having one child, waiting for that child to grow up, hopefully having more children so that they can. So he knew that, because obviously they'd done all that before with the first Adam and Eve over in Thingy, and it just took too long for him. So that's where the rib came from. So he could then create a second. That's what it says in the tablets. Giants are real. Nephilim giants still live today underground, held captive in a pit. I do believe the giants were real. The funny thing is again, going back to the tablets, they don't actually describe, because technically, a Nephilim is the offspring of the fallen angels, which were technically the, Aigi. So the Aigi moved off, and weren't around, after a certain period. They came from the moon, took their women, human women, and then buggered off. So you don't really hear much of them. So technically, they're the Nephilim. But Adam and Eve, which was the direct, proper offspring from relationships from Enki, with a human, were technically demigods, if you think about it. So, obviously Adam and Eve's children, which was, Cain, Abel, Seth, and possibly 60 others, if you, they were not demigods because they weren't directly, from a god and a human. So I find that quite interesting. Just reading. Triplets just wrote, damn, I didn't know there were other references from other languages and religions. Yeah. The religion starts, see, I think the human religion started with Abraham. But when you look at again, I have to go back to the ancient text because that's what it's from. After the flood, sometime after the flood, and we're talking 3 or 4 shahs after. So I don't know if you know what a shah is, but shah is 1 year of Nibiru. So in the stone tablets, they talk about, Nibiru coming around on the 5th shah and the 6th shah. And because we worked out that it's 3,600 of our years, we can then work out how many years in were they, which is why we can work out that they arrived here about 450,000 years ago, because they can talk about how many shahs. Around, I would say probably around 5,000 to 7,000 years ago, is when, so this is to do with the real God. So I'll have to, forgive me, I'm going to go and explain it. I know I've only got sort of 9 minutes left, but I have to explain it because it clears a lot of stuff up. Right. So, Enki, Enlil, and their sister Ninshurag, were visited by an emissary at one point from Nibiru. And the emissary, if you watch my videos, you'll know, he was a school friend of Ninshurag. However, he looks younger. And then there was a whole discussion of, hang on a minute, why do you look younger? And he said, well, that's one of the 2 reasons I'm here. One reason is because you can't come back. You will die if you go back to Nibiru because of your age. We don't age the same now as you are on Earth. And the other reason was because, next time Nibiru comes round, it's going to create a flood and you need to help the humans. So bear that in mind. So roll on after the flood, another couple of shahs. King Anu from Nibiru comes down with his wife, and they, so the way it reads is, they don't directly talk to each other that often. In other words, when the king is on his planet, there isn't, like we can ring each other 5 minutes, but they look like they don't talk to each other as much as they could. But anyway, obviously they can talk to each other in order to know that Anu was coming there. So anyway, they prepare banquets and everything, but for Anu. But this is a trick. So in the tablets, it says that they thanked Anu for sending the emissary. And Anu says, hang on a minute, I didn't send any emissary. And they're saying, but this white-haired, white-bearded man, I recognised from school, came, and he said, no one's left Nibiru. So the 3 of them, the 3 brothers, 2 brothers and a sister, say, and this is written in the tablet, oh, that must have been the Almighty Creator. Not Almighty, but the Creator of everything, I think it was. And then they work out that the Creator of everything deliberately, this is what they're writing, I'm just repeating it. What they say then is, oh, why didn't he want us to go back to Nibiru? Did he want us to stay here on Earth? And then they worked out, this is what they worked out, is that the Almighty, or the Creator of everything, wanted the Anunnaki to keep humans alive on Earth. So that is where everything changed. Now bear in mind, at that point, humans were just sort of slaves. Now, from that point, when the Anu came down and told them there was no emissary, they then decided to start teaching us language, everything else. So that I find interesting, and it references, and that's when they, at some point, they needed to still have, this is going back to religion, they needed to still have control over humans, because it was now, obviously, humans could breed a lot quicker than the Anunnaki could, because their pregnancies took a lot longer, and there was only a handful, really, in the big scheme of things. You know, we're talking probably 200, maybe 250 Anunnaki at this point, compared to hundreds of thousands of us little humans running around. Because we can, you know, within 9 months we can have a baby, whereas they couldn't. So they needed a way for us, for humans to not, you know, think that we're bigger than ourselves. So that's when they come up with the gods, and they allowed kingship, to humans, but not god status, and pharaohs, etc. So, that all because of that emissary. See, now if it was me, I would have freaking gone back to Nibiru, looked up that guy and said, did you bloody come here or not? I wouldn't have just left it at that. There's no way I would have wanted, because if it really was the creator of everything, I would have wanted to know 100% that was. Anyway. Oh, dear. Right. Sorry. Anunnaki are giants on Egyptian carvings. They're offspring of, in my opinion, because like I say, there was only 250, and by the time the Egyptians came, there was hardly any. Now, Murdoch did go off on a tangent a bit later on. That's the son of Enki, and create his own godship, which we all know, I think, is Ra. And so, but the Egyptians were not Anunnaki themselves, in my opinion. I mean, if you just look at the carvings between the Sumerian and the Egyptian carvings of people or pharaohs, they're totally different. So, yeah. Hello, host. Long time brother from another mother. That's from Brendan. I'm out in a car and it's quite dark at the moment, so I'm struggling to read, and my background should have been black, I know. I have Paranormals wrote, I have videos of many orbs. They even stop and interact. What are these, please? So if they're small orbs and they're floating around your house, chances are they're spirits. And now you have to be really careful, because obviously night vision cameras can pick up dust, and it really does look like orbs flying around. But if you can see them stop and interact, then they're spirits. Basically, spirits is just another entity that joins with us. Now there's other types of orbs that come out of spaceships, and also the ones that create the crop circles. I don't think they're spirits. I think they are a different type of orb. So if you think that there's more than one type of entity out there, then that's when you end up with the other type of entity, the bad ones, the jinn. They're also a spirit entity or an energy entity. So if you've got orbs flying around your house, that's really interesting. You could probably ask them to, turn a light on or something, and they might be able to do it. Do it at night, because they struggle during the day, which is why spirits always are at night, because of the light. They can do it in red light, but the daylight they have to use too much energy to anyway. When the solar flare hits, will it help out our DNA with unlocking more of it? So I don't know if you guys keep seeing, I do. I have this thing on freaking internet, and it comes up with like the Metro newspaper or the Independent, and it's online, and literally every day it says there's a massive solar flare and it's going to take out our infrastructure and this, that, and the other. And they've ramped this right up. Now, my opinion is the solar flare, if we do lose our internet and we lose electricity, etc., it's not from the solar flare, it's from the government or the secret elites that's doing this, and they want to stop us from. That'll be at the point when they start their this is my opinion, they start a depopulation program by pressing probably one button. And if you know what I'm on about, you'll know. If you don't, you probably need to research 5G and graphene oxide, etc. But so I don't think, if I'm right, and I pray to God I'm not, we won't be around to worry about our DNA. If I'm wrong, then I don't think we're going to get hit with any solar flares that's going to cause us enough problems to worry about DNA either. Triple X wrote, how long has it been since the last time, and how long will it come before it comes around again? So that's talking about Nibiru. So the last time that we can work out roughly, obviously because the Anunnaki's not wrote about them anymore, so they stopped probably a couple of shahs ago. So the Anunnaki didn't carry, we haven't got anything from the Anunnaki for about 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. So we have to then sort of work out 3,000 to 4,000 years. And if the cycle of the planet is 3,600 years, it's due, but we can't exactly pinpoint exactly when. There's people out there that say that they can see it, certain places behind the sun because it's on an elliptical orbit and it actually goes around the sun. But obviously the sun moves as well. So I'm on the fence. I definitely think there's a planet out there because there's got stone tablets talking about it. But I don't think in our lifetime we'll see it come round. Obviously, if it does, it'll be quite bad. Estimates say that it would become in between, if I'm remember correctly, it would become in between Mars and Earth, as opposed to it going, further around, or Mars being at a different location at the time, so it wouldn't go in between. And if it does come where they say, then we will have seismic earthquakes. Now, the flood obviously was due to an ice shelf breaking off, and sliding into the water, which caused a tsunami, which caused a great flood. Which that's how they could predict it was going to happen, because they could see this ice shelf ready to break, and they knew that once Nibiru comes back round, that's what's going to happen. So if there's another ice shelf similar to that, then we will get tsunamis as well. Volcanoes apparently will erupt. Only lasts for 15 days, but we will get bombarded prior to that with meteorites, because supposedly there's meteorites, which the Anunnaki call demons, believe it or not. If they enter our atmosphere, they're called demons. If they streak across with a towel in the sky, they call them dragons, which makes sense when you work it all out. But it lasts about 15 days, and then everything hopefully settles back down. Obviously more meteorites after that. And then we're back to normal again for another 3,600 years. But depending again, another 3,600 years, they could be further away, in which case we would feel the impact less. Now, bearing in mind their planet's supposed to be 4 times the size of Earth. I have a vision of a sphere that can fly using magnetic effect. I don't know. I just put it out there. Yeah. I'm out of time, to be honest, which is why I'm struggling to try and reply to that. I'd love to have replied to that properly. So I'm just scrolling down now. Are aliens us from the future? No. I used to think that, but the evidence ends up pointing no. What about the people that found a metal tiny tube in the upper earlobe, but never had an operation there? So they're alien implants. They're from the little greys. Spielberg pays secret people to go and buy or collect any alien implants that doctors remove. Dr. Stephen Greer, not Stephen Greer. What's his name? I think it's another Greer. I can't remember his name. There's a doctor that professional doctor that actually decided to start only working on implants. And I mean, this guy, was a surgeon, so didn't need to mess around with bloody implants, but he did. And if you're interested in finding out a bit more about alien implants that move, look up Whitley Strieber. He's the one that wrote Communion. And this doctor, I can't remember his bloody name now. I can't remember his name. But anyway, he went to, just type in alien implant, Whitley Strieber on Google and you'll find the doctor. And he went with, Strieber went to him. They planned all this and they had a film crew because obviously he knew he was being abducted. And they had a film crew with them and this bloody thing by his ear moved when the scalpel went near it. And in the end, the doctor said, look, I'm not going to, because, I don't know what's happening. I'm not going to operate. And Whitley said, yeah, don't. So yeah, he's obviously got implants in him. So interesting. I'm going to have to shoot, but if you like this, I'll put it on YouTube and along with all my other live chats that are already there if you're interested. And I'll try and do another live chat soon because I had fun and hopefully you guys possibly learnt something. If not, you just wasted some time. But either way, thank you very much, guys. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.